everybody. So I'm going to do a training on how to train, equip and empower people. So I'm just going to share my screen a second. Okay, so here we go. So this is a training called How to Train, Equip and Empower by myself, so RVP Danni Wells. And this is a training that has been taken and inspired by Coach Jerry, the wonderful Coach Jerry, who everybody knows I absolutely love and adore. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you've decided to go mountain climbing. I know, a bit random, but well, it might not be for some of you, but it definitely is for me. I don't actually think I've ever been mountain climbing, but this is a really good analogy. So imagine that you and a group of people have decided to go mountain climbing. Let's say it's your milestone birthday, 50th, 60th, 70th, or even like 18th, 20th birthday, and you've gathered a group of friends and you said, this is going to be so much fun, let's go mountain climbing together. So you've gone to the place that does mountain climbing, and first of all you go in and you sign that form that, you know, if you fall off the rock it's your own responsibility, yada yada yada. And they say to you, okay, so now we'd like your group to go into the next room and we're going to send in Bob, who is the expert mountain climber, to go through a few do's and don'ts and to teach you what you need to know before we set you off onto the mountains. You say, okay, that's great, yep. So you go into the room, giggling probably, playing up, and in comes Bob. Bob walks in. Bob is the expert mountain climber. He's the best of the best. He's the best one you can get that knows everything about mountain climbing and everything that goes with it. So Bob walks in, tells you all to settle down and says, right, okay, so today I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about mountain climbing. So he starts talking, the class is listening, Bob's showing you all the tools to use, he's picking up X gadget and this gadget and that gadget. If I knew the names of all the tools, I'd be saying them, but I don't, unfortunately. And it is showing you, he's visually showing you, he's saying, look, if you pick this up, and you attach it to this, and then you attach that to that, and then you put this round here, around your waist, tie this here, do this knot, and then this is what you're going to do. And then when you get on the mountain, this is how it's going to go down. So he's basically teaching you everything that he knows. He's giving you all of these instructions, and you're sat there and he's saying, okay, so you take this here and you do this, and you're nodding, going, okay, yeah, Bob knows a lot about mountain climbing. And then Bob's carrying on and he's saying, okay, so everybody, in case this happens here, then you need to know that you've got to grab this tool here and put it here like this, and you're nodding, trying to take in all this information and trying to make a mental note of what Bob's saying. And then while you're making a mental note of that, Bob's carried on talking about something else. So then, if you happen to need this, then you grab this tool and make sure you put it here. Not over there though, you put it here. So you're thinking, all right, okay, yep, okay, I'm listening, and you're nodding, and you're listening to what Bob's saying, and you're seeing what tools he's showing you, and you're really trying to make a mental note of everything that he's saying, and everything that he says makes sense. Right, so if this happens, Bob says, I need to grab that tool and put that here on the left and tie this knot, right, okay? And then Bob's going, okay, and then this tool, you put it here. This section here, you tie it around this over that part there, and then you follow on with this rope to this loop, and then you grab this tool and you use it like this. Now everything Bob says makes sense, yeah, and he's shown you the tools, so that seems fine. And so he asked, does everybody understand everything I've said? And you nod, of course. You're like, yeah, that makes sense, yeah, I get that. And we all think that we've got all of the information. The problem is that we only retain about 20% of what we've heard. And for some people, it's if that. So Bob sends us out. We've nodded. We've said, yeah, we get it. It makes sense. Of course it makes sense. There wasn't anything Bob said that didn't make sense. It's just that the human brain only retains a small amount of information that we actually hear. But we don't know what we've heard and what we haven't heard until we're out there. So Bob sends our group off. We're still giggling, you know, we've heard what Bob said, we understood what Bob says, but we get on the mountain and we start putting this tool there and that tool there and tying that around here and this rope here, and we get up the mountain and all of a sudden we've hit a problem. A problem has occurred and we're thinking, oh, sugar, Bob said, oh God, Bob said, oh, he said, what did he say? He told us, he showed us a tool. He said, if this happens, get this tool and do, oh, what did he say to do with it? And all of a sudden, you've forgot the vital information. You've forgot what you were told. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You understood what Bob said. You listened, you saw, he showed you the tools, but you can't help it. Your brain only retains about 20%. So you're struck with the problem on the mountain, hanging over it, and all of a sudden you can't remember exactly what Bob said to do with what tool and put it where. So this is Bob's fault as well, you know, naughty Bob. Bob assumed that everyone listened and took in all of the information that he told them. And that's just one of those things. We just can't retain it all. He just assumed that we got it all, and we didn't. And when you assume, you make an ass out of, you can read the rest of that. You can see what that says. So people learn differently, okay? Some people learn auditory, so listening. Some people learn visual. I'm hugely visual. I like to be able to see. I like to be able to write things down, see what I've written, read it again, listen again. And some people are, okay, don't laugh, kinesthetic. I hope I've said that right. So people learn in different ways, okay? So Bob just delivered that information in one way. He talked to us and he showed us the tools, but half the people in the room didn't understand how he was trained. Well, it wasn't that they didn't understand, they just didn't retain the information that he said. And we see this all the time with children in classrooms. So when you look at children in their classrooms, you're looking at about 30 children sometimes, and one teacher is teaching in one way, but the way children are taught isn't always how they learn. So just think that one teacher is teaching in one way, all 30 of those children aren't going to learn the way the teacher taught. And this is where we see differences in how children are picking things up as well. So going back to Bob, poor Bob, picking on Bob a bit, Bob trained us and assumed that we got it. So we thought we had got it, but once we were on that mountain, we forgot some of the vital information. And that's because, as I say, our brain only retains a certain amount. It was that we understood. We did understand. We were nodding. We would have put our hand up and said if we didn't understand something, but we did. But our brain just didn't retain it. And once we were in that pickle, we couldn't remember how to get out of it. So you have to think, people remember 20% of what they hear. They remember 30% of what they see. And then they remember 70%, an amazing 70% of what they see and hear. So this is like our consultants in our team. So we tell our consultants everything that they need to know. And we say, does that make sense? And they say, yeah. But then we find that they're then out on the field building their Arbonne business, and they get themselves into a pickle like we all do. We all get stuck at all different places. And then they're like, oh gosh, what did my sponsor say to do when this happened? What did they say about host rewards? How much did that PC have to spend to get a free gift? What did they say when someone says, yes, they want to join this business? Where did they say to find the document for this? So our consultants are out on the field. They listen to everything that we taught and trained them. But once they're out on the field, their brain has only retained a certain amount. They've forgot. Not their fault. Right, so what do we need to do about it? We need to equip them. So we have to equip people, okay? We have to equip them. So going back to Bob trained us, but now let's go back to Bob. Let's say Bob has said what he wants to say. He showed us the tools, but then he's adding on equipping. So then he gets us all up and actually gets us to hold on to the tools that he's talking about and actually get us to tie the knot that he's talked about to us. So rather than just tell us and show us, he gets us to come up. He shows us how to tie the knot and says, right, now you tie the knot that I've just told you how to tie, so that we actually are physically doing it ourselves. And then when he says, okay, so if you get stuck in this pickle, this is what you need to do. So he tells us, he shows us, then he equips us by saying, right, now you do it. So by us actually doing it, it creates like a file in our brain. So by us actually doing it, and I think we've all been there. When we watch a cookery program or read a recipe in a cookery book, we've read the information, we understand it, we might have watched how somebody cooks it on YouTube or on the telly, but then the moment we step into our kitchen, we're like, but once we cook it once and mess it up, let's face it, we all tend to mess it the first time. Once we do it and mess up, we've been equipped. So when we then go to do it again, the practice has been done and ruined, and we've got that file in our brain. Then when it's the real deal, We know how to cook that meal. We know how to do it. We've been equipped, okay? So we really need to have this extra level in our business where we equip people. So Bob has told us, he's showed us, now he's equipping us by getting our hands and saying, right, now you put this together. Right, now you hold on to this. Now, does that make sense? So you've heard it, you've watched it, and now you've done it in the practice classroom. You've been equipped. So that's exactly like I said. So this time Bob tells us, then he equips us by showing us and then saying, right, now you show me. And as I said, this creates a file in our brain. So when we've got our brain, when we are physically doing what we've just learned, even if it's practicing in the classroom, even if it's just having a practice, we are creating a file where we have been equipped with that information. That file has been made in our brain. Whereas when we're just told and shown, the file's not really there. Like, we're trying to retain it, but it hasn't created a file. When we have heard it, we've watched it, we've done it, even if it's a practice, that's fine. We've been equipped. When you are equipped, you create a file, okay? So this is a part of building our business. When we're teaching other people, we're missing out. We're missing out the equipping, okay? So we need to equip people. Bob had to equip us before he let us loose on that mountain. And then when we get on the mountain, we've been equipped. So we get in a pickle and we're like, oh, I remember I've got a file in my brain. Bob said, get this tool and do this. We've been equipped. It's there in our brain. The file can be opened and taken out. We know what we're doing because we've been equipped. So people can be a great trainer. You can be a great trainer, but not be great at equipping people. Now, I have to say and hold my hands up, I feel like I've not been a bad trainer in building my artbar business, but I have not been great at equipping people. I've told people what to do. I've shown them this is what I've done, but then I haven't equipped them and said, right, now you do it back to me. Let's do this together. Let's have a practice. Let's equip you. I've really struggled at this bit. I've really fallen down this bit, but this is something I'm embracing. So how do we equip people like Bob? So what we want to do is we want to run through, after we've told them and shown them, we want to run through it. Now, you can call this a debrief session if you want. So there's a lot of police officers in our business, and they call this, like, when they go in and they've been told about something that's happening at work to do with the police, they're then given like a debrief where they go over it. And that is like the equipping. So we can call this a debrief, you can call it a run through, an overview. It doesn't matter what you call it. This is the equipping part. So we can call it a debrief if you want. So this is where we go through it afterwards. So let's say somebody started their business and we've done their launch for them, with them, but for them, and then all the guests have left, and then we have our debrief at the end. Now, this is obviously going to add in an extra 10-15 minutes, but what is an extra 10-15 minutes to equip somebody that long term is going to have files created in their head where they retain the information? It's nothing. So add in those, take those 10-15 minutes to do this at the end. So you've done their launch, and then you sit down with them once everybody's gone, too far, and you say, okay, so you know when the launch began and we told everybody to arrive for 7 o'clock for 7:30 start, and they say yeah, and they say the reason why we said that was because people will just arrive at the time that you say, and sometimes people arrive late. So if we tell people to arrive at 7 o'clock, people are going to be coming in at like 7 till 7:15. So it then makes the start on time. For the people that were on time, it makes sure that it's fair for them. We start on time. So if we tell people to arrive for 7:30 start, then the people that arrive half an hour early can have a fizz stick on arrival, so a welcome drink, fizz stick drink. They can have a mini hand spa at the sink with the sea salt scrub and the sea salt detox wash. We can help them to scrub their hand and then give them a nice hand moisturizer afterwards, so they're getting pampered before it actually starts at 7:30. So that is why we started at 7:30. Now, this is after the event, so you have gone through why we did that, and they go, oh, but yes, that makes sense. Whereas if you told them that in the beginning, it's just information, it's just words, and they would understand what you're saying, but it's not creating a file. So once we've done it, then we can say, right, this is why we did that. Does that make sense? And they go, yes, that file is created. They are always then going to say, arrive for 7 for 7:30 start, or whatever the time is. Then you can say, right, so we started at 7:30 because it was only fair to start on time for the people that arrive on time or early. Does that make sense? They go, yeah, that makes sense. Great. File created. And then you can say, right, so you started by saying, thank you everybody for coming. So the reason why I've started my own business is because, and then you shared that. And that was a great opening into why, because people don't know me as your sponsor, they know you, they want to hear from you. And then you introduced me and I shared mine. And that then broke the ice into them getting to know me. Does that make sense? And they go, yeah, right, file created. Then we went through, and then you can say whatever slides you went through, whatever products you went through, if you played a game, whatever it was that you did at that launch, go through it bit by bit and say why you did it. And then they'll say, yeah, great. So you're creating these files. Yes, it takes you an extra 10, 15 minutes at the end, but you're creating the files by doing that. So you're doing that debrief and explaining to them. And you can also link this into doing a one-to-one or a practice discover Arbonne or practice something with your consultant. Once they've done it, once you've showed them how to do it, get them to do it back to you. So you're equipping them with that file. That file is being cemented into their head. So confidence, you're giving them confidence basically, and confidence creates confidence. No, that's not right. I've spelled that wrong. Confidence creates competence. That's what that should say. Oh my gosh, I've completely wrote that down wrong. So yeah, confidence creates competence. That's what I should have wrote. Silly me. Okay, so let's liken this to a child learning to ride their bike. So when a child learns to ride their bike, whether it's a balance bike or a bike with like training wheels or stabilizers, whatever you want to call it, when a child learns to ride a bike, they learn to ride by being on the bike and an adult saying, right, what we do is we need to learn how to pedal and we need to learn how to balance. They're two separate skills, okay? A bit like when we build our Arbonne business, we have network marketing and we have direct sales. They are two separate skills, but we need to do it all together. So when you learn to ride your bike, you need to learn how to ride your wheels, pedal your wheels, and you need to learn how to balance, but we need to do it all together for it to be the best possible way of riding your bike, okay? So the kid's like, yeah. But when they get on their bike, they are going to wobble, they're going to fall off, they're going to pedal backwards, things are going to happen, but that's okay because they're learning. And an adult is there with them to equip them. What we don't do is get on our bike and start riding our bike and say, look, this is how you ride a bike. Go on, you go now. You know, that's not equipping them. That's just saying, right, this is what I've done. Right, now off you go, you do it. The child's never going to learn to ride their bike by just watching you ride yours. Well, they might, but most children need somebody to equip them, to show them, to break it down, to create those files in their mind. Say, right, so we pedal because of this. And the reason why you wobbled that time and fell off was because of the balance. So this is why we need to do this. So you're equipping them. You're not just getting on your bike, riding down the street and saying, right, come on, I've showed you how to ride. Now you do it. That's not what we're doing. So when somebody starts their Arbonne business, we're not just saying to them, right, so you've started an Arbonne business, so we've got 10 steps to getting started, and then we need to learn how to do a one-to-one, learn how to do a healthy happy hour, and this is how you do a cosmetic workshop, this is how you do a skincare, iron away wrinkles event, this is how you do a launch, this is how you this is how you meet people to network with, this is how you present the DA, this is how you follow up, this is how you invite people, this is how you make appointments, this is how you build clients and customers, this is how you teach another business builder, this is how you use Zoom. This is how to plug into our training system. And this is how you use Host Rewards. Oh my God, can you imagine being a new consultant and having all of that? You think, oh my gosh, this business is not for me. It's information overload. That is like being a child that can't ride their bike and watching an adult ride their bike down the road and say, come on, I've showed you. What's your problem? No, it's just too much. It needs to be broken down. And we need to give somebody one piece of information and then show them how to do it and then say, right, now you do it, and then equip them with that information and then move on to the next thing. You know, one thing at a time. This is too much. So we need to prioritize, because if we say, let's go back, let's just say somebody started their business and we give them all of this information. We say, right, this is all of the information, but all I want you to do is read the 10 steps to getting started. Don't read anything else, just wait, and we'll do it bit by bit. Now, our brains are curious minds. So we're going to look at this, we're going to look at the 10 steps to getting started, and then our brain, being the curious things that they are, is going to read everything else, and we're going to be overwhelmed. So much so, we're going to be paralyzed. We're not going to be able to move. And then as your sponsor rings you, you're not going to answer the phone because you're too terrified, because you don't know what the heck you've got yourself into. It's too much, okay? So first of all, you need to break it down. bit by bit, okay? Now, I've done a training before, and when you eat an apple, you don't put the whole apple in your mouth because you choke. You take pieces, you take bites, bite-sized chunks. You've got to break this down. We have to break this down, guys. We really have to. So when somebody starts their business with Arbonne, we need to give them bite-sized chunks, okay? So before they start an Arbonne business, so while they're in that process of meeting you, going from event to event with you, from DA to car presentation to workshop with you. So before they start their Arbonne business, but during that journey of taking a look, and starting, that for some people can be days, for some people can be weeks, for some people it can be months, and for some people it can be years. In that process, I only want you to do these 3 things. This is it. All I would like you to do is, number 1, allow them to have a view of the team and the Arbonne culture and the community, so that they've got a feel for what it is like to be a part of the Arbonne team and the culture and community. So the best way that I find to do this is by adding people into our team page. So our team page is Hello Future, all family, friends, welcome. So they're having a nice overview of the team. They're seeing the recognition, they're seeing the trainings. It's not too overwhelming. There's no nitty gritty on how to do a one-to-one in that, or how to do a product workshop. It's just a nice overview of the team and the community. And it gives people a feel for what it's like for other people building an Arbonne business and what it's going to be like for them. So that's number 1. This is before they start their business. Number 2, they need to have an insight of the products, okay? So that can be an at-home trial, a gold bag, it can be samples, it can be information on the products, a product video, you know, they could be a PC, they could be a client. They need to have some sort of overview in the products, because if they're taking a look at building Arbonne for a business, they need to have some idea of why our products are so good, what they think to the products, what products that we've got. And that can be a little bit of information, it can be a lot of information. It depends on the person, but drip feed them it, okay? Don't just give them every single product that you've got for an at-home trial. Give them bits and pieces. And if it's going to take them a year from taking a look to join in, just every couple of months, just give them something else to try at home. Take them to a different workshop, book a workshop at their house. 1 month, do a healthy happy hour at their house. A couple of months later, do a cosmetics workshop. A couple of months later, do a skincare workshop. You know, giving them that overview of the products, drip feeding them information. And then number 3, the third thing I'd love you to do before somebody starts their Arbonne business is give them a basic understanding of how network marketing and how direct sales works. Obviously, they're 2 different things. So that can be giving them the documentary to watch called Rise of the Entrepreneur by Eric Warwick. It's about a 40-minute documentary. It's fantastic. You can show them the consultant napkins presentations. You can give them a book on network marketing, a CD. You can take them to a DA. Anything really, but those 3 different things, please drip feed people on these 3 things from when they want to have a look at an Arbonne business to when they start. So when they start their Arbonne business, they've already had a look into the team culture and the community. They've got that. They understand. It's not a surprise that when they start their business, everybody's so positive and recognises success. It's not a shock. Number 2, they've got an idea on the product. So when they start their Arbonne business, it's not a shock to them of how great these products are, and they've got a general understanding of where they are in the market and how they work and what we've got. And then number 3, they've got a basic understanding of what actually network marketing is and what actually direct sales is. So the day they start, they're not all of a sudden shocked when they're like, oh, so we teach other people. Oh, so we do this. You know, just a basic understanding, and just drip feed them that information from taking a look to starting their business. Okay, so that's the pre-start. So that's the pre-start to getting started. So you drip feed them. Don't give them anything else until they're ready to start out of those things that I've already mentioned, unless they ask for it, okay? If they ask for more information, don't withhold it. We've got nothing to hide. That's great, but don't just bombard them with information that's not beneficial to them until they start. They do not need to know about host rewards until they've started their business, unless they ask, but they're probably not going to. They don't need to know about how to be a national vice president before they start their business unless they ask. So you don't need to give people information that they don't ask for, because it's too overwhelming. So they only need to know those 3 things before they start their business that you personally need to give them. If they ask for a breakdown of the compensation structure, fine. But if they don't, you don't need to give it to them, because it's going to be too much. They don't need it. Right, so when they start their business, so the day they decide to start their business, All you need to do is step one, okay? Don't need to do anything else but step one. So you need to meet them to start their business. So that can be in person or on Zoom. And then all you need to do is go through the website with them. So show them the website, show them the source, show them around, show them how to join, how to buy some products for themselves, and just show them around in front of them. So you're equipping them. You haven't just told them how to start their business. You're equipping them by showing them around the website. And then ask them if they'd like to be added into one WhatsApp group. Now, I know that sometimes we have several different WhatsApp groups, but that is too much too soon. One WhatsApp group. Decide which one is going to be beneficial to them and ask them if they want to be in it. If you want to add them into other WhatsApp groups, do it later on, okay? Let them just get settled in first, and then down the line, then say, oh, we've got a 90 day WhatsApp group. Do you want to be added into that? Or what is it? Oh, let me tell you. You know, just start with just one WhatsApp group. Tell them that we've got a consultant back office page as well. So we've got a consultant, sort of like a bit of a staff room, if you like, consultant only business page, which is more in depth about how to do a skincare workshop, how to do this and things like that. And say, you're happy to be added in? Great, I'll add you in. Now, just add them into one consultant-led team page to start with. Again, just let them find their feet. Let's not overwhelm our consultants. They don't need it. They just need to know the basics. And once they know the basics, then we can add on to that information. Then ask them the 4 questions, which I'm not going to go through now because there's a whole training on that section anyway. So that means you're both on the same page. Then ask them to write down 8 reasons why they want their business to be a success, and then book in the second appointment to go through step 2. You don't need to do anything else. That's it. That's all we need to do. We're just talking basics here. And then send them the welcome to the team video, which will go through welcome to the team and go through step 1. Book your next appointment with them for the next day or 2 days later, either in person or on Zoom. Right. So don't give them step 2 until your second meeting from them joining their business. We are breaking this down. We are making this simple, bite-sized chunks. So the second meetup from them starting their business, you need to start helping them write their active candidate list. So writing down a list of people that they want to inform about their new business. Number 2, book in their diary and your diary all of the spaces that you have together, so that you're going to fill that with as many launches, as many one-to-ones, follow-ups and trainings as possible for over the next 30 to 60 days. So say to them, we've got 30 to 60 days, which is your training period. I am dedicated to helping support you with your business. So I need you to get me in front of as many people as possible in the next 30 to 60 days. That is your training period, because that is the time that I am devoted to you. After those 30 to 60 days, I will obviously be sponsoring other people, and then my time is going to be prioritized into helping them for 30 to 60 days. So you need to use me. You need to use me as much as possible. So let's get into the diary as many spaces that we can both do, and we're going to book in as much of me talking to people for you, with you. And if we have a time where somebody doesn't come to your launch or appointment, we'll use that for training. So don't worry, that's fine. It's fine if people cancel and people stand us up, because then we can fall back on that by doing training. So no problem. So you need to get your diaries filled up and need to make it really clear to them that your top priority for them is just for 30 to 60 days. And you're not going anywhere after that, but you are, you know, you're also sponsoring and helping other people. So they need to be aware of that. They need to get you in front of as many people as possible in those first 30 to 60 days, rather than just get you in front of one person a month for the next 3 years. You know, it's not like that. We need to help people become independent quickly. And then you need to help them invite people. Okay, this is key. Don't just let them just go and invite people all by themselves. You need to help them invite people, because they're not going to know what to say. So those are the key things that you need to do on that appointment. And then while their diaries are out, just tell them about Sunday night trainings that we do, and the once a month region trainings that we do, and then tell them about the once a year UK conference that we have, and then the once a year global training conference that we have in Las Vegas, and sort of give them an idea of how much the prices are for the tickets, the travel and the accommodation, and let them know that there are actually incentives to earn those things as well. Then you're going to send them this document, this quick start document, and they're going to see on it that step 3 is to purchase the 2 books, which is Eric Worre GoPro and Don Failer 45-second presentation, and that they need to listen to the free audio on YouTube, Making the Shift by Darren Hardy. Step 4 is to basically do their launches, do their one-to-ones, do their group presentations, using you as much as possible. Ideally, you really want to have at least 4 launches booked in the first 2 weeks and at least 5 one-to-ones booked in the first 2 weeks. You really want to get into momentum quickly. And then step 5 is basically learn as much as you can in your training period, which is the 30 to 60 days, and then ask your sponsor for the system for success to use after your training period. You do not need to give them the system until after their training period, because it's information they don't need. All they need to do in the first 30 to 60 days is, I've got this written down, fill their diary, write down names, invite people, let you get to work. So you're going to teach them and equip them. That is all they need to do. Once they've done that, they're going to have learnt and been equipped, okay? And then you can teach them the system and then how to carry on with their business. But you don't need to add in information that they don't need. We're breaking this down so it's not too overwhelming. So in the first 30 to 60 days, we need to drip feed information. We need to equip and empower people. So these are just some scripts on how to invite people to a launch. You need to be giving people these scripts that they can use these scripts so that they can invite people, but do it with them, do it next to them, sit with them either in person or on Zoom so that they can invite people to their launches. They can invite people to one-to-ones. They can invite people to have an event for them so that they can get you, their sponsor, their Bob, their teacher, their trainer, their mentor, their coach in front of as many people as possible in their training period, in their 30 to 60 days, so that they can be equipped by watching what you do and teaching them how to do what they need to do ongoing. So last but not least, leaders become great, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. So all we're doing is empowering other people. We're teaching other people, drip feeding them what they need to know, when they need to know it, not overwhelming them with information, just giving them drip fed information and empowering them by showing them how to invite people, showing them how to do a one-to-one, showing them how to do a launch, showing them how to sponsor people. We're empowering them by equipping them, okay? So we don't just tell people what to do. We show them, we do what they need to do, and then we go on from there by empowering them. So I hope that this has been useful, everybody. I've enjoyed this training. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have.